wish we kiki about today. I don't know if you hey Marky. I don't know if you saw or watched the latest episode of The Pod, but I had Sabrina Zohar on. Hi Josh, who is a relationship expert. She has the podcast The Sabrina Zohar Show. And so I've been posting clips from the pod and uh there's one that I posted that got people a little upset. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. That she was saying if he wanted to, he would is bullshit. Do y'all know the saying if he wanted to, he would? Let me tell you exactly what she said. She said if he wanted to, he would is bullshit. She said we need to stop trying to fit people into bumper stickers. Real relationships are not just about want, they're about bandwidth and capacity. Want and do are two different parts of the brain. Hi, Kaylin. Hi, KB. I want a lot of things, but I've got a lot of trauma, so I can't do them. It's not like I don't love or care about my partner. We have to think about we have to think about their capacity as well. It's not always about want. That's not how the world works. And people got really upset. Did that upset y'all when somebody says if he wanted to, he would is bullshit? I mean, I guess I'm of like kind of two minds here because I was like, oh, that's fair. Like considering the person's trauma and capacity, and people may want to do things, but they can't do it. But I think the pushback in the comments were a lot about like letting men off the hook, which I was like, oh, that's fair. And I have to remind myself that I sometimes don't hear pronouns in that way. Like when Sabrina said if he wanted to, he would, I'm not thinking we're talking about men. I'm thinking we're talking about just any partner and sometimes deferring to a male. Like if you said he as in God, I would assume, okay, like she, they, them. But I was like, okay, there are two parts here. If he wanted to, he would. Yes, there are some people that really don't give a fuck about us. And if they wanted to do that thing, they would, and they don't. So you got to let them go. Or just like accept that they're not going to do the thing. But I do think what Sabrina was talking about, and she says in a real relationship, and I think that's like more so like uh in a relationship where both of you have aligned values and we're like, oh, we're both in this and we want to create this and we want to be together. We're like committed to each other. I'm not saying marriage, but like we're going to be in this thing that sometimes people aren't able to show up for your wants because they don't know how. Kaylin, what'd you say? No, I love that part. I do think that we should expect things from our community, but that if he wanted to, he would is so oversimplified, which I think is what her sentiment is. Yes, which is why she said we can't all be bumper stickers. Because, for example, I'll use an example. When my husband and I first got together, for me, it is really important that those dishes are washed. I'm like, I'm not washing your dishes. You use them dishes, I'm not washing them. So you got to make sure the dishes are washed. But he like couldn't like he just it like his brain wouldn't remember to do it. And I think if I would have resigned to if he wanted to, he would, it would dismiss that there might be reasons that that's not a priority to him. That there might be something to be curious about in that. And that, maybe it's not a capital T trauma, but it might be a little T trauma. And it turned out that quite honestly, like it just wasn't a chore that he had that like in the house he grew up in his mom washed the dishes. And so like now stepping into a relationship with me, it's just like not it wasn't a conscious or intentional slight to me. It was just like, oh, this is not a way my brain has had to function. And so I might need a little more time. And there's a beautiful book. Is it The Mastery of Love? I think is the book that talks about this. But it's like if you ask somebody to do something, don't you can't expect them to get it right away. Like they might need a couple times before they're able to adjust. And I think sometimes we forget that we have to remind our partners that we expect if we say it one time, they should get it done. And if they don't get it done, then they don't care about us. And then we resign to if he wanted to, he would. And I think to Kaylin's point and to Sabrina's point, that's just an oversimplification of a relationship. Relationships are so much more complicated and require so much more. Jen, I love you too, Jen. The Mastery of Love, I highly recommend that book. It was a really beautiful book that I read years ago. Maybe I'm overdue for a reading. Anyways, if you wanted to, you would. We're not bumper stickers. I think that you context is everything. There are some people we're in a relationship with, and quite honestly, should not be in a relationship with them because they don't give a fuck about us in any vicinity, any bucket of life. But that's different than the person that you're like, oh, I'm in this relationship with you. We care about each other, but there are a couple things here that you're missing the mark on, and also that I may be missing the mark on, and it's kind of space for curiosity and for us to ask each other questions to learn about each other. Because I think the other trap of relationships, and tell me if I'm wrong, tell me if I'm right, tell me if you disagree, tell me if you agree, is that we assume that the person should be able to read our mind. And if they don't read our mind, if they don't know exactly what we're thinking and follow what we've not expressed, that they're not a good partner. Well, they should just know this day is important to me and that I want the dishes washed and that I like the bed made and that I like, they should just know because we've been together this long. It's like, one, people evolve and change and grow and shift. And so what might have been a priority to you in year one or month one is not a priority to you in year three or year 10. And so I think we always have to be in constant communication. Um, Let's see. Kaylin said, and then I feel like we are forcing people to be mind readers, right? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, Josh. I'm reading Kaylin's mind. Kaylin, we should be in a relationship. Clearly we got the telepathy going. Yeah, we have to communicate with each other. We have to be asking questions. And I think that that is the biggest I'm learning. Matthew and I have been together for 10 years, 10 and a half years, will be 11 years in June. And one of the things that I am really coming to and like learning again and again is just how difficult relationships are. And not that like we don't fight or anything like that. And, we have our conflicts, but just like the commitment to a relationship and like how much communication it requires in order to stay with each other and how much you are both always changing and that there's not like a auto drive. There's not an auto function. You're not on auto cruise or autopilot at any point. I think when you think that you're on autopilot, that's when all of the bad things get to seep in. But that it requires daily intentional upkeep and conversations and questions and hey, that thing that I used to like yesterday, I don't like today, and this might be why. Because you're both growing as individuals, which means that you're hopefully also growing as a couple, which means the furniture is going to have to move around quite a bit, and you want to make sure that you're both plugged into that. And having those conversations, as opposed to, I think some people like get set in their ways and kind of assume or maintain the same expectations. And I think that's unfair. Expectations have to shift and get to change. Um, Yes, Josh. Yes, it's all about growing and changing together. Absolutely. And also, like, you're going to grow and change separately. And so, we're going to have individual experiences that grow us or things that you learn about yourself or you become aware of that are going to shift you. And you might have done that individually. And then you have to clue your partner in on that so that they can join that journey. Like, always remembering that you have to come back to your partner to say, oh, I learned something new about myself. Just so you're aware, so you know this thing, so that you can continue that growth together, so that you can both support each other in said growth. Another thing that we talked about, hi Tom. Another thing we talked about on the podcast, and I'm talking about this last episode of Tell Me Something Messy. I had relationship expert Sabrina Zohar, who has a wonderful podcast called The Sabrina Zohar Show, which you should definitely check out. We talked about separate bedrooms. Somebody had written in basically saying that they moved in with their fiance, and their fiance is super messy, and they are super clean, and so they suggested that their partner and them get a separate bedroom, and their fiance got really really offended, and like was asking writing and basically being like, am I bugging that I want the separate bedroom or did I say something wrong? And Sabrina and I both agreed that there is, nothing wrong with wanting a separate bedroom. Sabrina had shared that she and her partner got a bed divorce, and that her brother and his wife also have separate rooms. I will say this: the first time it was before COVID. 2 things. I had said during COVID, I read an article that came out after in the New York Times. It said a lot of people, to get their space and get their time away from their spouses, they ended up having separate rooms and then kept the separate rooms post COVID. But I remember before, maybe in like 2018, I went to a friend's house, gay couple, and they had separate bedrooms, and I was like, I remember being like, "Huh," but one partner was like, the other partner, like, snores, wait, like, literally has a CPAP machine and, like, "Yeah, I need my rest." And they were so matter of fact about it, but they also, like, I know their relationship and they love each other, I just didn't realize that they had separate bedrooms, and I remember being like, "Oh, that's kind of cool. That's beautiful." Like, because you would think, oh, separate bedrooms means like, oh, we hate each other, we're about to leave each other, or that like something is wrong. But it becomes like, no, no, we're two humans in the relationship. And as two humans, we might need different things and we might be different temperatures. You might snore, I might not. You might be a light sleeper, I might be like it's okay if we're able to like say, hey, let's have separate rooms in this home that we live with each other. It doesn't mean that the relationship is bad. Now, I was saying, I responded to this person's um, query and said that, your partner might be mad or offended because he thinks he's supposed to be. That like if you go back into a space of curiosity, you might pull the threads and be like, what is the fear that comes up when I ask for a separate bedroom? Because I think the initial offense comes from, this is not how a relationship is supposed to work, quote unquote. Like, this is not what a healthy relationship looks like, quote unquote, right? Because we all have our images of what a healthy relationship looks like. And so if somebody proposes something that's outside of what you saw in your household or what you see in media, suddenly the alarm bells go off and it feels like something else is being said. It feels like you're abandoning me, or whatever those other trigger points can be. And so needing the curiosity to say, hey, what do you feel, or what are you hearing me say when I ask for a separate bedroom? What are the fears that come up? Because I think like sometimes when you're given permission to go, oh, this is okay and it works, and your relationship is not in jeopardy, the offense may start to melt away. Um, Jen, I want to come on. I don't think you sent me your new book, but please send it to me. I would love to read it. Um, Kaylin says, yes, the unraveling of where the story of how relationships should be. Yeah. Yeah. We all have a lot of stories about what a relationship should look like, how like what makes a good relationship, what makes a bad relationship. And we're all trying to not well, no, I'm gonna say use generalization, but a lot of us, until we kind of wake up to it, are trying to follow a blueprint. And yes, Josh, there is no template. Everything should be custom to the partners. Exactly that. You and your partner or your partners are not another partnership. So what works for the partnership across the street, or it works for, Carl and Harriet Winslow on Family Matters, does not necessarily work for you. You're in a different situation, a different life, a different set of circumstances. And so I think all of us need to take back the autonomy and the permission to build our relationships and our lives the way that we see fit. And we're going to have to try some things on, and some things will work and they won't work. And that's where the communication has to remain, the curiosity has to remain. But if you try to fit into other people's boxes, you will fail every single time. Um, so I think it's really important to remember that this is, you're tailoring this thing to you and your partner and what works for y'all, and it doesn't have to look any kind of way. As I always say on here, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else, go off, sis. Do you? Period. Do you? Um, and then and then we were talking about, which I fucking love, Sabrina told this story about texting her ex 173 times. And made me think about like, well, what's the have y'all ever I mean, I don't know if y'all ever texted an ex 173 times, but like, and this was in her 20s, by the way. But like, I was like, oh, I've had some unhinged moments like that. I remember this boy, I was in college, and I really liked this boy. I don't think I texted him 173 times. I know I did it because my mother would have killed me, because that's on that cell phone playing, that family playing. Shoot it. That's when you only texted on nights and weekends. Wow, am I dating myself? Okay. You got to text after after 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. or something like that, or on nights and weekends. You can't just be sending 173 texts without your mother beating your ass. You know what I'm saying? But I remember like I really liked this boy, and I remember being like hooked to my phone, waiting for a response. I remember even like trying to like manifest, like chanting and doing The Secret. I don't know if I'm The Secret, trying to get this boy to respond. And when he would respond, finally I'd be like, oh my God, I manifested it. It was so fucking unhinged and out of this world. Um, and then I had to learn after that because then I would respond right away, and then he would like take another days to respond. And it's so embarrassing now to look back on and be like, damn, like you were really shelling out energy for somebody who ain't give a fuck about you. Cause if you're waiting 3 days to text me back, you don't give a fuck about me. Okay. Listen, you can take 24 hours. 24 hours, we're busy. People are busy. I get it. But if they like you, and they taking 3, 4, 5 days, maybe I could have ordered a sweatshirt from my favorite brand and had it delivered in them 5 days. That's crazy to me. Sorry, what did say? KB said, thinking about how we paid for individual texts back in the day is such a while. Isn't it, KB? We were paying per text. And we were doing do the 3 times to get the back. And don't get me started. I had the little Nokia. I had the Nokia. I forget what it was called, but it was the gold member edition because Beyonce was in that Austin Powers movie, and so they made a gold finger, gold member, whatever Nokia. And I used to fuck up that game Snake. Anyways, don't get me started. Hold on. Here to say, I texted a boy senior year of high school, and my mom flipped out when the phone bill was an extra $20. Because $20 for your mother is a cocktail. Hello, it's a nice little drive through, not drive through, yeah, but a drive through. Like go to McDonald's, get you a little shake, get you some fries, some nuggets. That's $20. Okay. I had a bill once that was like a couple $100 over. I'm not gonna hold you. My mom whooped my ass because she really the good news was I was in boarding school, so she couldn't really whoop my ass, but she was pissed. By the time I got home a couple months later, she was a little calmer, but I really did go over by a couple $100 on them texts. She was not happy with me. KB, we truly learned discipline with those free nights and weekends. Absolutely. Do not text me before 8. Like Saturday and Sunday, all day. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Monday comes, midnight, shut it down. Um, Josh, my pal Evan was just featured on This American Life because he documented a conversation with all 17 of his exes. Oh wait, I wanna. Can I say that? I'm gonna screenshot that, Josh. I want to read that later. Hey, let's screenshot it. Jen said, "You know that quote that's something like we break our own hearts by making ourselves more important than someone else's life than we really are." Yes, 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 yes. We break our own hearts by making ourselves more important in somebody else's life than we actually are. Yeah, we need to make ourselves important in our own lives. Okay? Not in their life. Like, to me, I do believe that when people give a fuck about you, they will show it. Now, some people aren't always great at it. They're not great at communication, and that's fair. And you have to have that conversation, I think, at the beginning of the relationship. Like what is the way that you like to communicate? Are you a big texter? Are you a big phone call? Or like, do you like FaceTime? Like having the conversation so you don't take things personally right away. But I don't remember what I was saying because somebody said a couple hundred. Yeah, Hannah, it was a couple hundred. I heard the tone of that message. It was a couple hundred. It was really bad. My mother really was not happy. And now that I have to pay my own bills, I would not be happy either. Because if you're expecting a $100 phone bill and it's $300, that's crazy. That fucks up the budget bad. Brandon said texting is not dating. You're absolutely right. It's not. Are y'all texting people and calling it dating? You have to like see now if it's long distance, texting is part of the dating, but you do have to FaceTime a little bit. We used to do FaceTime movies where we would FaceTime each other and press play on a movie at the same time when we were long distance. That would be our date. But just texting, no, it's not. It's not dating. But you don't have to be texting the person you're dating, but it's nice to text the person you're dating. Because I don't always want a phone call. And I don't always want a voice note. And I definitely don't always want a FaceTime, but I want you to know that I care. So I want to text you and say, I love you. Um, let's see. Sorry. KB said I had a bill with a few $100s extra, definitely couldn't sit down for a while. Yeah. When them bills go over a few $100s, your body feels different. It's what it probably is like that urge to shit yourself, right? Because it's just like the knots in your stomach. Because you're like, where, why did I think, why did I think I had that money, first of all? And now where's that money coming from? And how am I going to pay it? It Now that's capital T trauma. That's that financial trauma down. Hi, Brian. Um, yes, Tom, Skype long distance. Yes, the Skype. Yes. Remember Skype? Skype really had a chance. See, Skype and Blockbuster, let this be a lesson to y'all all. Stay ahead of the curve, okay? Because where's Blockbuster now? Nowhere. Where's Skype now? Nowhere. Skype could have been Zoom, is what I'm saying. Skype could have been Zoom. And maybe they are they? I don't know, but I don't think they are. So all I'm saying is Skype fumbled that bag. People be fumbling. Don't fumble your bag. Okay. Don't have a bunch of people around you just saying yes. Don't fumble that bag. Skype and Blockbuster, let them be lessons to y'all. Um, I've watched too many episodes of Catfish for just texting him. Absolutely, absolutely. It's what's wild is I really value. I was talking to somebody and I was like, okay, like, can you verify who you are? Like, I need Instagram. And they were like, oh, I'm not on Instagram. And part of me was like, bet I love that for you because I don't want to be on Instagram either. Like, it's, social media is fucking our brains up. So, like, I support you in not being on social media. And, and I'm never going to meet you, love. You got to verify who you are. Do you have a LinkedIn? Like, what, like, I need to know you're real. It's not going to work without it. You have to verify. You're gonna have to, you're gonna have to show me that you have other people in your life. I don't want I don't want a lone wolf. One thing about me, I don't want a fucking lone wolf, love. Okay. I want to know that you got other people, whether it's family, friends. And I say this for safety. And I'm in this 6'1" male body. Okay. So I know the ladies are like, absolutely safety. Like, what are you talking about? You ain't got an Instagram, you ain't got no social media, you don't have a LinkedIn. Do you have a MySpace? Like, what's going on? You ain't got nothing? Who are your people? That's what my grandmother used to say. Who are your people? We want to know who your people are. Because if anything goes left, we're going to find your people. I'm a New York girly. That's what it is. I'm a Queens girly. Skype like Friendster. I don't remember Friendster. What was Friendster? Was that like Vine? I wasn't on Vine back in the day either. I was on MySpace for a very long time. I love me that MySpace. And always adjusting that top 7 or top 8. Mm-hmm. Safety is important, especially for emotional health. Absolutely. We do not want to get re-triggered. Re-triggered by these hosts. Let's see. Jen said, Henry wasn't at first, and I was so envious. I kind of have to be for my weirdo career, but I've eventually got him on because he's an actor and it helps. Yeah. You don't like, listen, social media it's not great, but it's also great. It's not great, but it's also great. It has great components and it has not great components. It's the discipline. We need nights and weekends. You know what I'm saying? If social media cost money to be on, we would all be on there nights and weekends, and that would help us with the discipline. KB, back me up. Am I correct? If they would charge us, they never would, but if they would charge us to be on there from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, we'd be off of it. And then free nights and weekends, and we're all there nights and weekends. I think that would help us, but they'll never do it. They'll never do it. Oh, Helen, the top 8 drama was everything. Top 8? That's how you told a bitch I don't like you. Ooh, and don't even give them a heads up. Just change the top 8 around. You go on your friend's page and she were top 8 and no longer top 8, or you moved down? Wait, I was 3. How am I 4 now? Oh, because you got a boyfriend now? Oh, okay. 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 Yeah. That was a wild time, a drama. Bring back boundaries. Yes, bring back boundaries. Tom said, you see what they charge the folks on X now. Oh, I don't, I'm off X. I'm off X. I don't know. They be charging folks. I know, weren't they charging people to like verify their accounts or some shit like that? Social media congestion pricing. I say, oh yeah, it should also be like group plans. Anyways, weren't they charging? people to get verified or something like that on X. I don't. I got off the X. The X started to scare me. I mean, they all scare me, but the X really started to scare me. Now I'm on Threads. Highly recommend. Threads is a funny place. Thank you. X is evil. Threads is a funny place. They got lots of jokes, lots of good memes over there. Do y'all mind if I sage a little bit? I'm so sorry. Okay. Oh, yeah. Social media group plans. But the thing about the social media group plans, KB, is that you know that one friend is going to use all your social media minutes. And you might say thank you. But also I might be pissed because if the Grammys are on or if Beyonce drops an album and I can't find out about it because all my social media minutes are used, I'll be pissed. But this is a workshop idea. Threads is very peaceful and hilarious. I highly recommend. Oh, they pay people to post on X. They pay people to post everywhere, don't they though? Or you mean post shitty things? Because X isn't X like I heard it's the gutter. I got off of there and I got off of TikTok too. How's TikTok? Are y'all still on TikTok? You gotta light some sage. Are y'all still on TikTok? I got off TikTok too. Also, now I'm really nervous because Paramount got bought by whoever bought all the other things. No, Paramount bought WB. Netflix got outbid, and those people bought everything else, and so now we're all fucked. At least we have Substack. What'd you say? I'm only on TikTok for Beyonce content. Okay, that's great. Oh yes. Oh fuck. Act 3. KB, let me say, I'm sure it's gonna be on Instagram, but if for some reason it drops on TikTok first, I do need you to get up in the group chat and just let us know the Act 3 is out. Because it's coming out, right? It has to come out this year. Right? Hi Simone. TikTok, wait, Kaylin, you deleted TikTok when it was brought to America. So that's a long time ago. I remember, wasn't it brought to America before COVID? Because I remember I was a fitness instructor at the time, and I had a client tell me that her daughter worked for TikTok and that I should get on TikTok. But it terrified me because I was like, I'm doing too much on Instagram already. Who knows? So now I'm like, oh, should I get on the next thing? But I don't want another app. There's Blue Sky. There's some other app. I don't want another app. I'm now on Substack. It's too much. It's too much. I got too many apps on my phone. You know what I'm saying? Okay. What else was I going to tell y'all about? We talked 7 red rooms. Oh, Closure. Closure is a scam. It'll be IG first, but TikTok has the better stadium planning and conspiracy theories. If it magically hits, thank you, KB. If it magically hits TikTok first, the thing is, I like to. I'm a millennial, so I do appreciate watching. And by the way, this is Palo Santo, not a cigarette. Although I would smoke a joint. I haven't smoked a joint in months, and my throat feels so much better. But I do miss it. I do miss it. But I was smoking. I'll be honest. I was smoking weed, and I realized that after a while, I was smoking it as an escape more so than a treat. Same with edibles. I was doing edibles every night as an escape more than a treat. Yeah, I'm gonna get. Oh yeah, you're right. Let me go back to Closure is a scam. But now, anyways, Closure is a scam. Okay, so we talked about this on the podcast. Sabrina Zohar. So if you just joined in, Sabrina Zohar, relationship expert, was on Tell Me Something Messy this last week, and we talked about her texting her ex 173 times, which is how we got on this nights and weekends. But she also said Closure is a scam, which kind of harken back to what Karamo has said when he was on the podcast first season, which is basically like, you don't need somebody else to give you closure. That like this idea of closure, like, let me talk to you one last time so I have my closure, or let's meet up and have that conversation, or let's text, or let's voice note so we can close this out. It's like, that's actually not going to give you what you're looking for. That closure is for you. And kind of begins and ends with you and really doesn't involve the other person. And that every time that you're actually, I think this is what Sabrina was suggesting, is that like every time you're going to that person for the closure, one, you're giving them control over your healing, which is first. And two, you're actually then like re-triggering yourself. You're opening that wound up. Now, I'm of two minds here. Like this is not a complete. I agree that that closure has to come from you. That you have to decide when you are done, and that it is it is the willingness to grieve. It is the willingness to be uncomfortable as fuck, especially the longer the relationship, the longer that it's going to probably take for you to go through that storm. But as I just read today, my angel has a quote: "Every storm runs out of rain." Right. But we do have to be willing to go through the storm of that. And then ultimately it's you releasing the thing and saying, I'm done with this. That said, I had a my very first boyfriend, which was like my first love, was in college, and we met when we were both still in the closet, and our relationship devolved. Our relationship devolved while we were both still in the closet, so we were never able to actually be out together, like in a relationship, out and proud in a relationship. But he was like the source of a lot of unhinged. I started therapy, so I actually like good for him. He helped me start therapy. It was just like a lot, like the heartbreak of that, and like also being in a queer relationship and starting a queer relationship, quote unquote later, which was like age 19. Just felt like a lot of stakes on it, and I wasn't able to like bounce back. Obviously, finally I did, and then maybe 7 years ago, I think 7 years ago, um, about no, maybe longer, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, I had moved to LA already, and then I was back in New York to do a job, and he was in New York and asked to meet up, and so we went to dinner, and he has a new partner. They were at the time trying to have a baby. I'm obviously married. Um, and we just had this beautiful conversation about our relationship and what it meant to both of us, and kind of apologized to each other for not being able to hold each other's hearts in the chaos of being 19 years old. And it was the most beautiful dinner, and then we parted ways, and I was in the West Village somewhere, just, like, weeping on the side of the road, and, like, texting my one of my best friends being like, "We just ended it again." I don't know, it was an unexpected closure. Like, I wasn't yearning for it. I obviously moved on, he had moved on, but I guess there was still a wound there that maybe I was operating from, in certain respects, and so that conversation for sure gave me closure. So I think I'm, of 2 minds, which is, like, closure is a scam, and I think especially in the immediacy, like, looking for that closure, you're not looking for that closure from the other person. I think you're looking to stay connected to that person, and that's interrupting your healing. But I think with time, and with space and with distance, and with maturity and evolution, both of you have done your evolution. There is an opportunity for actual closure, one that doesn't re-trigger or reopen wounds, but actually allows the both of you to honor what the thing was and move forward. But it's not something that you need. I think that's the difference. Is like sometimes people feel like they need closure to move on and heal, and you don't. Um, just with yourself, that's all you need. Is to choose yourself. And to respect yourself and to honor yourself, and to give yourself back your time. That's all you actually need. Yeah. Josh, funny that closure and closing at its best is about spaciousness. It is. That's so beautifully put. It really is. At its best, it's about time and space. They say time heals wounds, and it's about being able to have perspective. And sometimes when you're not sometimes when you're in the ocean of your grief, when you're drowning in the ocean of your grief, it's really difficult you're trying to breathe. You're like flopping around. You can't close anything that way. It's like you need to actually be able to float, get yourself out of the water, get a little bit of ways and like see, oh my God, this ocean that I was engulfed in from way back there actually looks beautiful with the sun over it, with the sun setting behind it. And then suddenly there's room for that closure that you're looking for. There's room for those things to come to a natural end and for the heart to move on. All right. Well, another live in the books. We did it. I love talking to y'all. Wait, hold on. Jen said, I think closure is always about our own selves. Having said that, sometimes there's things that we need to say. And as long as we're not attached to the outcome in terms of what we're going to hear back or have the person will receive it, that's a different kind of closure. But I think closure is always solely within our own soul. No pun intended. Absolutely. It is within our own soul. So give yourself the gift of closure. So the scam is thinking you need the other person to give it to you. No, 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 no. It's all you, baby. It's all you. And lean on your community. I don't know if anyone needs that. If you're going through any kind of grief or breakup, please plug into your community. They got you. I love y'all so much. I will see you. I actually won't see you next week because I'm going to be in New York. I'm doing this. I'm doing the keynote at Ars Nova, which is a theater company that produced Ho Church, and they're honoring Las Culturistas, Matt Rogers and Bowen Yank. So I'm going to do the keynote at that. So I will be gone next week, but I'll be back the week after. I love you so much. I love you. 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 Bye.